inside the white line marker, so all the white paint went onto his head. The first thing on the news was about me whilst I was in my car. I couldn't believe it.
If we talk about Southend then,
we knocked Liverpool out in the same season that they done the treble.
Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 4 of the Blues News podcast. Today we've got a very special guest, footballing legend Martin Allen. How are you, Martin?
I'm very well, thank you, Finn. Very well. We're looking forward to having this chat with you because you sound like a really nice guy. And of course, brilliant. Contact with Southend United, so fantastic.
Absolutely. I believe you just got back from Dubai, so how was that?
Yeah, I went out to Dubai just for a few days. It was quite a lot of work, to be fair, because there's a company called West Ham Way, and they do events with ex-players, and I was one of those with 𝗠𝗥𝗧𝗡𝗡 in Dubai at a hotel, 100 West Ham diehards who live out in the Arab Emirates. So they all came along, and so, it's a bit of work to do, but overall, a great time. Met some really, really nice people.
Brilliant. So for anybody who hasn't watched one of these podcasts before, I was just telling Martin before the podcast, we're not just going to talk about his time at Southend. We're going to talk about his whole career. Some clubs we might have to kind of skip over more than others because you've had such a long career. But yeah, and there'll be lots of fun stories. Anybody who knows Martin knows he's got some brilliant stories over the years. So I'm sure there'll be some great stories to be told. So if we start from your early years then and just talk about that for a little bit. So if you want to just tell us how you first got into football and started your career.
Well, yeah, I was brought up in a town called Reading. Both my parents came from Dagenham. We were born in Dagenham and brought up in Dagenham. And my dad played as a schoolboy for Charlton Athletic, where he signed professional. He played once in the first team for Charlton. And then he was sold to Reading. And so when he was 19, my mum at the time was working in a bank in the little part of London called Bank. And my mum and dad, aged 17 and 19, moved to Reading, which in those days was a long way because there was no M4 motorway, there was no M25 motorway. And so for two teenagers, it was a big, big move. And as most people would know, all the Allens were brought up in Essex. But my parents, including myself, were born in Reading and brought up in Reading. And I started playing football when I was 8 years old. Local team, just round the corner from where we lived. And loved it from when I was a little boy. And was quite good from when I was a little boy playing up age groups. And it just spiraled on from there where I got picked to play for Reading Schoolboys. And then from Reading Schoolboys, which is the schools team, not Reading Football Club, I got chosen to go and train at Queen's Park Rangers, which at that time was a very good team in West London, not too far from Reading Station up to Paddington. And I spent a lot of my youth time from 12 through to 15, 16 when I left school, training at QPR, playing at QPR, watching QPR's first team.
Yep.
So yeah, that was my first big involvement with football, and then signing for QPR when I was 15, I left school, and 2-year apprenticeship where my coach was George Graham, who went on obviously to manage Arsenal and Millwall and had such a fantastic career, Leeds and Tottenham, and he was my coach and taught me so much.
Wow.
So that's how it all started out really for me.
So I believe you kind of touched on it there a little bit about your family, but I believe you come from quite a footballing family. I think your cousins, uncle, dad, they all played football. So do you think that helped you in your career coming from a family who, was so involved with football?
I'm not sure if it actually helped me, because the bottom line is you've still got to pull your boots on and go over that white line and play.
Absolutely.
Just because your uncle had done the double with Tottenham and my dad had been a good player for Reading for 10 years, doesn't mean and doesn't entitle me as a footballer when I was 12, 14 or 16, just because they were so good and they were kind of famous, it didn't mean that I was going to be good. You've still got to go over the white line and do it. And my dad taught me that from a young age. Forget about, Clive was a fantastic finisher, great goal scorer, had an unbelievable career playing at the top clubs, played for England. And of course, my other cousin, Paul Allen, youngest player ever to play in the FA Cup final at Wembley Stadium at that time. And then I was the next one coming along. So if anything, there was a bit of pressure because of the expectancy about the next Alan coming through. And it took me a bit more time and a bit longer until I was a bit older, when I filled out with my power, strength and speed, where I could actually get into QPR's first team. Whereas both Clive and Paul were playing in the first team when they were 17.
Wow.
So I had a little bit of catching up to do. But finally, after a lot of hard work and training off the pitch, I managed to get a decent, I'd say, made the most of the natural ability I had.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about your career in kind of chronological order. So if we go to your time with QPR then. So during your time with QPR, you played over around 130 league games. So if you want to just talk to us a little bit about your time with QPR, any funny memories, anything like that?
Well, it was an amazing time. Because of an August birthday, I left school when I was 15. I was training at QPR full-time at 15 years old, going on the train from Reading to Paddington, 2 buses to get to Reading Station, home in the afternoons, and my coach was George Graham. He used to play for Arsenal, very disciplined, well-organised, brilliant coach, brilliant manager, and I learned so much for him that I used later on when I went into football management when I'd finished playing football. I'd kept notes, kept a book of all the work that George Graham did on the training pitch, and took that forward with me later on when I finally finished playing football. QPR was absolutely amazing for me. Brilliant. It was just like a dream come true, because I've been there since I was 12 years old. And I was lucky enough to play in a cup final, which was probably the lowest career game that I played against Oxford, where Oxford beat us comfortably, and I played poorly. Quite a contrast to a few weeks before in the semi-final, when away at Liverpool, playing at Anfield on a Tuesday night with a sellout crowd, we managed to draw, and as we'd won the first leg 1-0 at home, we knocked Liverpool out in the same season that they done the treble. So for that night was the highlight of my career. That night, playing for QPR in a semi-final away at, they won the treble that year. Wow. So that was the highlight and the best performance I've ever played. And it wasn't that long ago after the cup final against Oxford at Wembley, overriding favourites, expected to win, and I was rubbish. The team didn't play well, and for me it was the worst game of my career. And then there wasn't too long after that when my son George was born, and the Trevor Francis, God bless him, the manager of QPR, didn't agree that I wanted to be at the birth of my son, hospital in Reading. It fell on a match day where QPR were playing away at Newcastle, and I went up to Newcastle. But on a Saturday morning, earlier hours of Saturday morning, my wife went into labour, and my son was born at 11 o'clock on the Saturday morning. And I'd flown home from Newcastle at 6:30 on the shuttle, got to the hospital in Reading at 9:30, saw George born. QPR beat Newcastle 1-0. My son was born, George, happy, and both Mum and George were fine. Yep. And on the Monday, I got fined 2 weeks' wages for missing the game and walking out and flying down, even though I told the club that I planned what I was going to be doing a week before. So that was really now going to be the end of my relationship with him as a person and a manager. And I got a phone call soon after that to sign for West Ham United. Completely out of the blue. Lou Macari contacted my dad. They agreed a fee with West Ham and QPR. And the next day, literally the next day, I was training at West Ham. I've got my boots from the training ground and drove round to East London and started playing just as quick as this. Started playing for West Ham. And that's how my career started at West Ham.
Well, yeah, that was something that I was going to talk about, the situation with Trevor Francis, because I'm sure that you've spoken about it many, many times on various podcasts and with different people. But when I was researching for the podcast, it was very interesting to kind of, I think one thing that I was going to ask you about is the media attention that came with that, because I think at this point, like many players, you hadn't had too much media attention, but at this point, that was when media attention really ramped up. You're on the front page newspapers, things like that. So was it difficult dealing with all the media attention and press that came with this situation with Trevor Francis?
Oh my God, yeah. I hadn't been that long into QPR's first team, and I wasn't a great player. I was just an averagey type player. And then coming away from training, I put my car radio on, and there was a debate on whether I should have left or if I should have stayed on the radio.
Wow.
And it was about me. And then I switched it to something else, and it was all about me. And then when the news came on at the end of the hour, the first thing on the news was about me whilst I was in my car. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And then at night, and on that first evening, on the Monday night, because she had the baby on the Saturday morning, the news came on at 10 o'clock. And we'd all been at the hospital, my mum and dad and my sister, etc. had all been at the hospital to see George and George's mum. And we all came home, and on the way home, my dad got a Chinese takeaway for everybody to eat in his house. And 10 o'clock, the news came on. And it used to be like this on ITV. It was, I think his name was 𝗔𝗟𝗟𝗘𝗡 was the reader. He was like a baldy guy, very intelligent type looking. And it said, I'm just using this as an example. The bells of Big Ben would go, boing. Prime Minister puts up taxes, boing. Martin Allen fined 2 weeks' wages, and we all choked on our Chinese. We're all watching the TV, and all of a sudden, the bell of Big Ben went boing. The next headline, after the first one was about the Prime Minister, the second one was about me missing the birth of my son. Oh my God, the sweet and sour balls with all the red sauce on went all over the table, and everyone's sitting going, oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway, that was that. The next day, it wasn't the ideal pre-match meal, of course. The next day, I'd been told on the Tuesday I had to play in QPR reserves away at Charlton, 2 o'clock kickoff. I had to be at Loftus Road at 11 o'clock for the journey across to South London. Well, as I pulled up in South Africa Road at QPR, at the ground, we were always allowed to park on the front steps at QPR along that pathway. As I got out my car, there were TV cameras watching me get out my car.
Wow.
I could not believe it. No. And as I walked from my car to the team coach, all the TV cameras were following me.
Wow.
And it was like surreal. I'd never, ever had anything like this in my life.
Yeah. I imagine it was a big shock, all of this.
Yeah, all the other players are laughing. They're all sort of joking about it.
Absolutely.
So we got over to where we were playing the game. It was a 2 o'clock kickoff at Welling United, their ground. This is where Charlton played their reserve games in those days. And as the coach pulled up out the front of Welling United Football Club, we were looking out the window down the side of the bus.
Yep.
And again, there were 3 or 4 TV crews and half a dozen reporters waiting for me to get off the team coach. All filming me. It was like, I could not believe it. I had a 30-yard walk from the bus, and they all followed me. And obviously, that old line, no comment, nothing to say. And oh my God, I went from just being a bang average midfield player, trying to find his career and find his pathway, to well, I'm not sure I'd be right to use the word stardom, but it felt like oh my God, this is a different world.
Absolutely. Well, it's a big change, isn't it? So we're going to talk about your West Ham career then. As I said earlier, the main things we'll probably talk about your West Ham career, Southend career, and probably managerial career. So if we talk about your time with West Ham then, so you signed for West Ham in 1989. Obviously, as you said, leaving QPR. So firstly, how did that move come about? Because I know you said earlier about 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡 contacting your dad, but was that how did that move come about?
Very, very quickly. I was at QPR. I was playing sometimes in Trevor Francis' team, and then if we were losing, he'd substitute me. He'd make it difficult for me. And then the players would get a day off, and I had to go in to train. So it was clear that he wanted me out. And then I nearly went to Arsenal with a joint move between David Seaman and myself going to Arsenal, where the manager was George Graham, my old youth team manager from QPR. So I thought, here we go, we're going to Arsenal. So that was all quite exciting to go and join a club like that. Yep. And then that fell through because Trevor couldn't agree the fee for me to go, but he let David Seaman go. And then completely out the blue, 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡 rang, spoke to my dad, told him the deal had been agreed with QPR, and they'd offered to pay the amount that QPR wanted. And then we arranged to meet 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡 the next day at Paddington Station at 10 a.m. We met him there at a coffee shop after checking with QPR, of course, that the fee had been agreed. Met him at Paddington for an hour. My dad sorted out a contract because I never had an agent. And then I went home, drove to QPR's training ground, picked up my boots and shin pads and the things that you need when you move club.
Yep.
And the very next day, drove to West Ham at Chadwell Heath. Going back, if you like, to the roots of my mum and dad, as we mentioned earlier, who were absolutely thrilled because both my mum and dad both supported West Ham. So for them, it was very special, and all their brothers and sisters letting them know that I was going to play for West Ham was special. For me, it was special because I'd been to West Ham a few times with my dad and all my family and cousins to watch West Ham play. It's quite surreal when I made my debut against Plymouth. Absolutely surreal. Back there, so many people, back into an area where I'd watch football, and that was so close to all my family. Very special.
I believe, I could be wrong in this, but I believe you scored on your debut against Plymouth as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Why could you be wrong? Yeah, managed to get a diving header from a corner that went into the top corner. So yes, of course, that was very, very special for me.
Absolutely. A brilliant start, really the perfect start you could ask for. So in 1991, managed by Billy Bonds, there was a period in the club where you approached the First Division and later the Premier League, what became the Premier League. So what was this period at the time like, and what was it working under Billy Bonds as a manager? Oh,
Billy Bonds was, and still is, an absolute legend of West Ham United Football Club. He is an iconic figure. He's a warrior of a man. He's a really, really nice man. He was a really good manager. He managed he managed from the side looking in rather than being right in. He was very independent, very much his own person. And he absolutely loved West Ham United. But he also separated himself and kept his little bit of a distance from the players and the staff. And he managed from above rather than being down in amongst it all. And it proved to be very successful for him because he was really, really good. He'd have a quiet word on the side of the pitch. He'd have a few words at the training pitch on the side of the pitch or in his office. Yep. And if he wanted you to do something, if you weren't playing, he'd pull you in over a cup of tea. He was a really good manager, and respected by everybody in the dressing room and the staff, and of course all the supporters. Absolute legend.
Absolutely. In the 1990-91 season, something that I wanted to ask you about that I find really interesting is you had a period in that season where you scored 7 goals in 7 games in a row. What was that like? Because I imagine that for any player, that's quite an amazing thing to do.
Well, yeah, it is when I look back on it now, and even when you just mentioned that to me, for a central midfield player, and sometimes I was obviously just back to right a little bit as well. 7 in 7 for a midfield play, some going. It was quite surreal. There could have been more if I remember rightly, but I practiced and practiced and practiced. And George Graham had taught me from a young age, it's not shooting, it's called finishing. Don't shoot at the goal, finish. Put it in the bottom corners, keep it low. And we used to do drills to practice it all the time. All the time. And if you hit it over the crossbar, you had to do press-ups. If you hit it over the crossbar, you had to go and get your ball. He drilled us and drilled us and drilled us. Low and in the corners. Low and in the corners.
Yep.
And if you could side foot it just inside the post with a bit of bend on it, that's what you had to do. And we practiced it with him twice a week for hours. Hours and hours. Yep. And so when those chances came at West Ham, they'd been practiced, the technique and the technical finishing skill had been practiced. So I was able, I've seen the goals that I scored, and, some of them are, it shocks me a little bit, but it's quite surreal now. It's surreal to look back and think that you actually did it.
Absolutely.
Really.
So something that I'm sure, if anybody's watching it as a West Ham fan, I'm sure that they'll want me to ask you about is the bowling ground, because obviously for West Ham fans, it's a big talking point, and obviously they move stadium and everything. So obviously you have so many memories connected to that ground. Firstly, what did you make of the old stadium, and were you sad to see the club move on to the new one?
It's not an old stadium. That's not it. It was the old ground. Yep. Upton Park is a ground, and I'm not being pretend. I'm trying to explain from your question. It's definitely not a stadium. It's definitely a ground. It was a place of pilgrimage to worship West Ham United. For all those people, masses and masses of people, to worship their team was going to Upton Park. Their routine of the train journeys, where you parked your cars, where you had something to eat, where you had a pint, where you had a bet in the betting shop, Nathan's Pie and Mash. It was routine through generations of families following on, going into Upton Park. Not always great, often up and down, great times, sad times, disappointed times, special games, midweek games, the chicken run, the atmosphere, the sense of humour from the chicken run, the passion of the people, hard-working people that have come out of inner London, Docklands, Fords, making a living from a tough upbringing like my parents had in Dagenham. So it was a whole mixture, a concoction, if you like, was Upton Park. And so then the move over to the London Stadium has been tough for those people. The generations have had to change and find out different ways, different places to sit, who you're going to mix with. The fact you're not close to the pitch. There's a lot of stuff to take on for West Ham fans that have missed out. And there's a lot of West Ham fans do feel, and I do agree with them, that they've lost that closeness to the team, to the productive team, to the performance, to the pitch. And it's made it very difficult for them to accept it, respect it, and move on from the ground at Upton Park. And I do get that.
Mm.
I do have a lot of sympathy, empathy for those people. You know, it's a massive loss. It's like a bereavement, really. And it can take, as we all know, from bereavement in our families, it can take a long, long time to overcome it. Was it right at the time to do it? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs financially of what it was or what it entailed, and I doubt I'll ever find out. All I do know, it's moved, and there's nothing I can do about it. You just got to get on with it and make the most, and try and make the most of every day, home and away, wherever West Ham plays. Try and make the most of it, I guess.
Absolutely. I think with stadiums, because obviously it's gutting to leave a ground that, you know, you hold so close to your heart and you have so many memories with, and it was really like a core piece of West Ham as a club was the ground. And but I think we've seen with teams like Tottenham, for example, Everton recently, Man City, Arsenal, all teams who have kind of moved to a newer stadium. But I feel like with some of those teams, their fans almost didn't mind it as much. Maybe because their grounds weren't quite as historic as West Ham's, but I think it's partly because their new stadiums that they moved to have been, you know, really good things for the club, and they've been, you know, good, well-made stadiums. Whereas West Ham's new stadium isn't quite built for football, let's say. Do you think if West Ham had moved to maybe a better stadium that was more suited for football, do you think it would have been quite as hard to leave? Or do you think all the history and stuff was what made it so hard?
Yeah, good question. A couple of weeks ago, I went up to watch Everton play in their new stadium, and it's close to the pitch. It's modern. It's different. It's very, very different to Goodison Park. It is very different, but it's close by, and the atmosphere was, oh my God, absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely
it's interesting.
Awesome.
Yep.
It was brilliant.
How other clubs have adapted, and I do think it's because I personally, coming from a family of Hammers, I've been to both stadiums, both grounds, many times. To be honest, I've probably been to Upton Park maybe more times than I have the new stadium, if I'm completely honest. And I'm only 18, so I think that says something about how amazing of a ground Upton Park and Bowling Ground was. At West Ham, then, you played with some incredible players. Who stuck out to you as the best player that you played with, or maybe a few best players that you played with?
Are you only 18?
I'm only 18, yeah, absolutely.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't know you were only 18.
Yep, I am indeed.
Wow, you're very, very good at what you do and your job and your questioning so far, so full credit to you for that. You're only 18, good man. After this interview, of course, I wish you the very best of luck, because I know it's not easy to interview me. So well done you. Well done you for, well, this is just a good start, I hope, for you for your future.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, it is kind of what I want to do in the future, so hopefully I'm doing a good enough job.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you're doing very well. Come on, then, let's carry on.
Thank you, Martin. Yeah, so who were the best players that you played with at West Ham? You know, you don't have to just give one, but you know, who were the best kind of players that you played with at West Ham?
𝗔𝗟𝗟𝗘𝗡, the goalkeeper, was absolutely outstanding.
My dad actually named our cat after him. when I was growing up, we had a cat called Ludo.
Did you?
Yep, we did indeed. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Somebody actually named their child after me.
Oh wow.
I know.
Wow. Do you feel a bit honoured by that? Is that quite a nice thing?
Honoured, shocked, surprised, happy.
Yep.
Imagine someone having a kid called Martin Allen.
That is brilliant.
Oh my God, I bet the kid turned out to be a right nightmare. The parents are like, oh my God, you're worse than him, you're as bad as him. No, Ludo was a fantastic goalkeeper, great trainer, really good person, on and off the field, diamond of a person, diamond player. Come out for crosses, shot stopping, long kicks out of his hands. Oh my God, they go the length of the pitch, 𝗠𝗏𝗡 with the lights. Used to be like rockets going up in the sky on firework night. Boom! It would go high, 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 and then come all the way down and land near the opposition's 18-yard box. Oh my God, it was awesome. Julian Dix would be my next one. What a player! What a bloke! On and off the pitch, mad.
I believe you were roommates with him as well, weren't you? I believe at one point.
A few times. It wasn't always a good mix to have me and him together because we would just do crazy things and we'd stay up till late in the middle of the night and and then we'd have pillow fights and then he'd order room service, a steak sandwich at 11:30 at night with a portion of chips, which you're not allowed to do when you're a footballer. And he'd just sit there smashing it down his throat because he was hungry, because he don't like pasta. He hated pasta, so he'd never eat that stuff. He was a great player, but on the pitch, self-belief, strong, tough, good in the air, good player, great bloke. Kevin Keane, he was one of my favourites. All right foot, could go outside, get in between, scored goals, made goals, crosses, ran up and down, great energy, good player, Kevin Keane. Trevor Morley, I thought he was a great player, number 10 type, centre forward, strong, bring people into play, target man type player. Loved playing with Trevor Morley, he was fantastic. Ian Bishop, get it and give it, pass it, get around the pitch, like a quarterback type footballer. Lovely person on and off the pitch, good player, great to play with. Peter Butler, loved playing with Peter Butler. Strong, tough, fast, self-belief, courageous. Top bloke on the pitch and off the pitch. Self-belief, tenacious, hard as nails. Love it with Peter Butler. I could go through a lot more of them as well. Timmy Breaker was a good player. Tony Gale, Alvin Martin, Liam Brady, Mark Ward. The list of that group that Lou Macari put together, a lot of those would be really, really good.
Yeah, some brilliant players. I mean, some of those names are just absolutely huge.
Potsy, didn't we?
Oh yeah, of course, Steve Potts. Yep, absolutely. And I believe his son is now playing for West Ham as well. And his other son played for West Ham before. So, yes, certainly a West Ham's in the family there. So we're going to move on to a little bit about Portsmouth and then Southend, of course. Partly the reason why I've got you on the podcast. Obviously a Southend podcast. But I never like to just talk about Southend in these podcasts because it opens it up to a bit of a wider audience and, of course, so many fun memories. It'd be almost a waste to just talk about Southend in this podcast. There's so much to talk about. So one last thing on West Ham then. One thing that I love with these podcasts is to hear people's funny stories. And I think, I couldn't really get anybody better for that than you. Do you have any funny kind of memories at West Ham?
Funny? What do you mean by that?
Any interesting stories from this time at West Ham that firstly you'd be happy to share on a podcast?
Happy ones. Okay, well, one just sprung to mind. I didn't know this question was coming, but one's coming to my mind. We're all walking out of the training ground changing rooms at the Chadwell Heath. It was 25 past, coming up to 10:30, and that training starts at 10:30. And as we were walking out, there's a big group of us onto the training pitch. The groundsman was marking the white lines of the main training pitch for the first team. And he was going round with one of those roller things, with 3 wheels.
Yeah.
And the paint was going onto the lines to make it all good for training for us.
Yeah.
It had just been cut. So it looked really good. As we were walking out, John Moncur walked over to the groundsman and said, "Just hold that there a second." So the groundsman stopped. Ian, his name was. He stopped.
Yeah.
John Moncur kneeled down in his training kit right next to the white line marker and put his head inside the white line marker, so all the white paint went onto his head, his whole head.
Oh my God.
He was stood. He pulled it. He was covered in white pitch marker paint, his head, and it was all dripping now down onto his training top, down his back, on his arms, and he walked across to us like we're all laughing our heads off. Anyway, a minute later, Harry Redknapp walks out, the manager.
Oh my God.
We're all stood there, and 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡's got his hand on his hips as though nothing's happened. Harry comes out and said, "What are you doing?" He went, "What?" And we're all laughing. He said, "What?" He said, "What have you done to your head? You flipping idiot." Not flipping, it was another word. "What are you doing?" He went, "I don't know what's wrong. What's wrong?" And Harry just walked off and just shaking his head. 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡 carried on training. In training, he played with white paint over his shirt, his head, all the way through training. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That is amazing. That is brilliant. Well, you didn't disappoint on the funny stories. That is absolutely brilliant. What a story. So I was going to touch on Portsmouth, but I'm conscious of time, and obviously I don't want to keep you over what we said. So if we go on to Southend quickly, and then we might, if we have time, we might come back to Portsmouth, because I want to talk a bit about your managerial career and life after football, etc. as well. So if we talk about Southend, then in 1997 to 98, you had a brief loan spell from Portsmouth to Southend. Obviously, you didn't play too many games for Southend, but what was your time like there at Southend as a whole?
It was a very, very difficult time. I wanted to play football. I'd had a bad knee injury at Portsmouth.
Yep.
And I wanted to play football. I had a phone call from Alvin Martin asking if I'd go there. So I was living in a place called Winchester, not too far from Southampton and Portsmouth. Would you come and play for us? So I played in the reserves on the Tuesday for Portsmouth and played well, and I was fit and fine. But if I played and then trained or then played again, then quite often I would my knee would get sore. And that was the case. I could play a game, then I'd be in pain, and I couldn't hardly train, and I was just about getting through training, and it was proving to be very, very difficult. When we played away at Wrexham, midweek game, I got taken off with 20 minutes to go because I could hardly move my knee. The pain through the top left knee part, where your femur goes into, that thigh bone goes into your knee, the pain on the outside whilst I was playing that night was horrendous.
Wow.
Alvin took me off.
Yep.
I knew I was finished. The bus journey back from Wrexham back down south, I got off the M1 at Luton, and getting off the coach to go to my car, the pain, and I was trying to hide it, was horrendous.
Yep.
I was going through the coach holding on to the armrests to try and skip through on my right leg rather than put my left down. And then I had to go round those steps to get off the bus next to Alvin, who was sat at the front. I didn't want anyone to know, of course.
Yeah.
And I went down the stairs, got off, and when the bus pulled away, I can't deny, well, I cried. I had a 30-yard walk to my car at the hotel at Luton. It was just off the motorway. I knew I was finished. I knew it was over. And that walk from that bus to that hotel, which is just off the M1 now. It's still there now. I'll never ever forget, because I knew it was the end of my football career. I knew I'd never play again.
Yep.
And I didn't. It was difficult. I didn't play in the home game on the Saturday. I told Alvin I had flu, so I couldn't play. I just couldn't play.
Was that hard to deal with? Because obviously you say about the pain, but was that hard to deal with mentally? Kind of not being loving the game so much, but not being able to play.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yep.
Mentally, I've been playing football since I was 8.
Yeah.
And you just can't do anything. It's a total massive loss in your life.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a massive loss. So I had to go through all that. It made it very, very difficult, mentally and physically. It's horrible when it happens. It's horrible.
Absolutely. With Southend then, we were talking about grounds earlier, and obviously with West Ham, but Southend is a club as well where the ground is really, really crucial to the club, and really it kind of is such a main talking point of the club. And it had its 70th year anniversary just recently, a few months ago actually. What did you make of Roots Hall as a ground?
I loved Roots Hall.
Yep.
Loved it. It's got history. It's got character. Yeah. It's again, I would call it a ground. I certainly wouldn't call it a stadium. And I've been there. I've played there as a player. I've been there as a coach. I've been there as a manager. The humour and sense of humour of the people I used to love. I used to stand in that technical area as a manager or a coach, and they'd have banter with Mad Dog, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And I'd have banter back with them, and it used to be a lovely footballing place to go.
Yeah.
I don't really know the details. Is that bloke Ron Martin still there?
No, not anymore. No, it's new owners. One of which is an Australian, but a board of basically Southend fans now who saved the club.
Well, thank God they did.
Yeah.
I just used to find him. I don't know him, but I just know of some of his. Thank God he's out the way and got rid of.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Football doesn't need people like him, in my opinion. No. I don't know him personally, only from the outside and looking in. All those years.
A single Southend fan who won't agree with what you said there. 100%.
All those years when he used to come out with, we're going to move the ground up to that. What was the training ground called there?
Fossett's
up at that
Farm.
nice. What?
Fossett's Farm. I think it was Fossett's Farm, was it? Where he wanted to move Southend to. Was that?
Yeah, but where was the training ground? Or it might have been that, but I thought he was going to move where the old training ground was.
Boots and Laces, was it?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And he'd be talking about it every year. We're going to be moving. We're going to be moving. It never worked. Yeah. It never happened.
No.
And I'm sure if it had have happened, they'd have been able to put in stuff where it could get an income, not just once every 2 weeks, but every day of the year to get an income, which football clubs have got to do at that level to make it work.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, thank God he's out of the way. And I do watch out for Southend, of course I do. And I'm pleased that John Steele's there, because he's always been a great recruiter. He's always been a really, really good, successful football manager. So hopefully, with his magic, he can help. And that is a tough division to get out of, by the way. That is not easy.
Oh, yeah, especially with only 2 teams going up as well. It almost seems impossible at times. Yep.
Well, I found that ruling that there's not 3 teams going up bloody ridiculous. I can't believe it's not called the 4th division. It should be just a continuation of the divisions that are currently there with the Football League. I don't get it.
Yeah, particularly nowadays, it doesn't even feel like non-league, to be honest, because you look at some of the size of teams in that division, Carlisle, Oldham, Southend, York, some really, really big teams in the division. So, it's definitely a hard division to get out of. There's only a few more things that I want to talk to you about, Martin, so I won't keep you much longer at all. One of which is something about the kit, because when you played at Southend, you were wearing what we call the custard splat kit. Obviously, Southend fans. I'm actually wearing it right now. But Southend fans obviously love the kit and look back on it so fondly. But at the time, for you, did you all feel quite as passionate and like it as much as we do now?
Do you want the honest opinion? I can't remember the kit. I ain't got the passion for the kit.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to have to disappoint you on that one, Finn. No, I don't really remember it, but it looks good on you, though, even though it looks a little bit tight.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It's quite tight, but it's I thought I'd ask because Southend fans want me to ask that one because it's quite an iconic kit for us, but you don't remember it, so fair enough. The last thing I want to talk to you about Southend, and then we're just going to quickly touch on your managerial career, and then we'll wrap things up. But a couple of months ago, it was announced that you've joined Super, the Ex-Players Association. Part of the reason why I reached out to you, because I know the guys there really well and whatnot. So I thought it'd be great to just quickly talk about Super. So you joined the Ex-Players Association. How do you feel about that?
Well, I was only there for a month, and I didn't really do very well. I didn't play very well. I found it a bit embarrassing, really. If I'd have done a really good stint for Southend and done those supporters proud and played really well, I think I played a couple of decent games, but the rest of it, I've just thought I was absolutely average. I don't think there's a Southend fan who'd be bothered. They would say, yeah, you've done all right. But I didn't go there and actually play well for Southend. I didn't do well to be a member of the I'm proud to have played for Southend, but I'm not proud with the level of performance that I put in all honesty.
Fair enough, yeah. It's, to be honest, you'd be surprised. There are players in the Ex-Players Association who have played less than you, and I think it's kind of the beauty of the Ex-Players Association. It's not just legends or players who played so many games. It's basically everyone. We had a player a few years ago who literally played a handful of games who joined. So there's all sorts of different players within it. So it's quite interesting, really. Thank you very much for coming on, Martin. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. A podcast I was so excited for. It's been a real honour to have you on. So thank you very much. Is there anything you want to say just before I end the podcast?
Yeah, what I would like, Finn, is if we get back together in a week's time, and I think you mentioned it before that you want to do a management one. So let's do an hour's podcast on management. I could talk to you about getting out of the conference for Southend supporters and what you've got to do to get out of it, and the mindset and the difficult situation that Southend United supporters are coming round to now. Because it's been a few years. It's a difficult division to get out of. I'd love us to do a podcast on that.
Brilliant. That would be amazing. Thank you very much again, Martin, for coming on. Anybody who's watching, if you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Keep an eye out for the management one. That'll be out quite soon then. But yeah, thank you very much, Martin. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, mate.